Hey guys, this is for everyone who's using the TP-Link Omada SDN for their home network or business network. I'm running that at home. I've got a couple of hardware components, but the one thing that I don't have is a dedicated controller. I'm actually running the controller on this computer as a Docker container, and it's been working pretty good. But there are some hiccups that I don't really appreciate, so I'd like to move over to a dedicated hardware controller. So I picked up the OC200, and I'm going to be working to install that on the network today. I did want to walk through with people what does it look like to do a migration when you have an existing controller, all your configurations, all your logs, and move that from either a Raspberry Pi, an old controller, a Docker controller, over to a different source, right? So pick your destination. But I'm going to be putting on the OC200. If you take a look in the box, we've got the actual hardware. We've got two Ethernet ports, and what you're going to see on those PoE on this one, so you can just run this whole device on PoE, and this one's for communication. I don't have a PoE switch available right now, so I'm going to actually be using the USB micro slot in the back to provide power to the device. So let's go ahead and put this on the network, get the firmware updated, and then perform our migrations. So I've got the OC200 plugged into the other network hardware, and as you can see, in spite of the mess, what you've got here is we've got the power supply down here running into this cable to the back of the OC200 and a patch cable into the router. So now that we've got it hooked up, we can go back and configure the software and begin the migration. All right, now that the hardware controller is installed on the network, let's go ahead and see if we can find it, get it configured, and up and running and do the migration. Now, I haven't done this before. You're going to kind of learn this a little bit with me. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're in our Omada controller. Right now, this is the Docker controller. I'm going to go over to the clients list. And I've looked around before. So if you search for OC, you're going to see that the name of the device is the OC200. So this is the new device that we've added to the network. So I'm going to grab this IP address, and I'm going to go ahead and visit this in my browser. You might get prompted for approving a security certificate because it's a self-signed certificate. So just go ahead. It should be fine. You just put that device on your network. It should be good. So let's go ahead and get started. This is the setup for this device. Controller name. Let's just call this OC200. That's fine. US time zone is not Casablanca. Let's go ahead and pick Eastern time. We'll call this home. Next. We're going to skip configuring devices for now because we want to do a migration. We're going to skip configuring Wi-Fi because we want to do a migration. Let's add our information here. Let's grab that. So I'm going to do the same credentials as I have on the Docker controller. We don't want cloud access, so we're going to turn that off for now. Next. Great, great, great. Finish. Now, the first step is going to be to upgrading our version of our controller. I'll go ahead and remember me on this device. It's fine. Go through the tutorial. Okay. So now let's go up here and check out. First, let's go to our original controller and let's look at the version. So click these dots, click about. I'm on 4.4.4. So that's what we want to get our new controller set up to. So I'm going to go to our new controller and we're on 4.3.5. So if you look here, so let's go ahead and go to the migration tool really quick. If I go down to the settings and then I click on migration, controller migration, it says right here, get this out of the way, that you will need to be on the same version from a current controller to another controller. So we're clearly not on the same version. So let's go ahead and upgrade. All right, so let's go ahead, since we can't do this without cloud access, let's go ahead and enable cloud access. Enter our credentials. All right, so now we're connected. Let's go back to our maintenance. Check for upgrade. A new version is available. Let's check the details. Where does it say the version that we're going to go to? Oh, I'm on version 1.0. Build 1.8. All right, well, let's go ahead and upgrade it. So we'll download the upgrade and see what happens. All right, so we're getting a request timeout. Not quite sure what that's about. Okay, the upgrade is finished. We've been prompted to log back in again. So we're going to go back in to the controller and we'll join later. We are on 4.4.4. Let's go here, check the about 4.4.4. So now the Docker controller and the hardware controller should be in sync. Now, so let's go ahead and go over to the migration page again. Again, we don't want to do a site migration. We want to do a controller migration. I've never clicked this button. Okay, export controller. We're going to do settings. We're going to do 2 months worth of data. So, so it's having us make a backup file anyways. So we're going to go ahead and export that. Okay, we're going to go to the target controller. We're going to go to maintenance. We're going to go to restore a file. Here is our backup. We're going to restore this. I've never done a restore, so let's see what happens. All right, successful restore. All right, we're going to go over here. Don't see any. Oh, I see some logs. Okay, let's go back to the Docker controller. We're going to confirm. We're going to migrate these devices. Controller IP is 192.168.86.12, I believe. 18. And we're going to migrate all these devices. So they're disconnected, which is good. Let's go to the devices here. These are disconnected. We will forget the devices here so that we don't have a conflict. All right, so let's go over here. These are adopting, which is exactly what we want. And the last thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take this IP address and we're going to want to make sure that this controller's DHCP options are, that this is a reserved IP so that it doesn't change on us. Great, we're connected, we're configuring, we're almost all set up. Let's go to our clients view. So great, we've got a bunch of clients, all our activities in here. Let's go back to our devices and we're still configuring 2 of them. So an access point and the router are getting configured. Great, the access points are done. The router usually takes the longest. Let's go ahead and finish that. All right, so we are connected on all the devices. We can forget these because now we're connected. All right, now that that's done, we can shut down the Docker image. So can't connect to the server anymore. Let's see. Network is still up. Our controller is still running. All right, I think that's it. And now the last thing that I get to do is I get to turn off my Caffeinate script. So if you're not familiar with Caffeinate, Caffeinate is a script that basically, that's the script in this terminal. There you go. It's a script that basically lets you prevent your machine from shutting down. So my laptop has been running Caffeinate for 2 months while the image, the Docker container is running, because if the container stopped, I would have like odd networking issues. That's all. hope you enjoyed it. We have a migration that was successful, and I'll keep some more Omada SDN videos coming. Thanks.